All right, so you're thinking about becoming an Airbnb host.
Well, we're diving deep today into the 5 biggest mistakes to avoid.
Yeah, because you want to get started off on the right foot right.
Exactly. You don't want to be tripping over the same pitfalls that so many new hosts encounter.
Get ready for some really actionable insights, not just the same old generic advice.
Yeah, we've done a ton of research for this deep dive, and we've uncovered some really surprising stuff.
Things that might change your whole perspective on Airbnb hosting.
Absolute.
Okay, so let's jump right in.
Sounds good.
The first mistake a lot of new hosts make is underestimating the importance of setup.
Right. They think it's as simple as throwing some furniture in a room and calling it a day.
But our research showed that's a huge mistake.
It really is.
What's one of the most important things hosts should do during the setup phase?
One tip that really stood out to me was the live in your own Airbnb test.
Live in your own Airbnb.
Yeah, spend a few nights in your space as if you were the guest.
Oh, I see.
It's amazing what you'll notice when you switch perspectives.
So you can spot those little annoyances that you might not have noticed as a host.
Exactly. Like, is the shower head too low or the curtains too thin?
Right.
You'll find out firsthand and be able to fix those things before your first guest arrives.
That's such a practical tip. I love it.
Me too.
Okay, so you've spent a few nights in your own Airbnb and you've made sure everything is comfortable and functional.
Right.
What's next?
Well, this is a business, and first impressions matter.
Absolutely.
So don't skimp on furniture. Invest in high-quality pieces that will last.
That makes sense. You wouldn't want guests to feel like they're staying in a cheap motel room.
Exactly. And remember, Airbnb is a review-driven platform.
Oh yeah, those reviews can make or break you.
Exactly. Guests will notice if you cut corners, and they'll call you out on it in their reviews.
So investing in quality furniture is actually an investment in your success.
Exactly.
I think a lot of new hosts focus on the big things like the bedroom and the living room.
Yeah.
But our research showed that there are two spaces that are surprisingly crucial.
The kitchen and the bathroom.
Yes. Why are those two spaces so important?
It's all about those small, subconscious cues that shape a guest's experience.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more about these subconscious cues.
Well, a well-stocked kitchen, for instance, makes guests feel welcome and at home.
Right, it's like you're inviting them to cook and enjoy the space as if it were their own.
Exactly. And a sparkling, clean bathroom, that signals that you care about their comfort and well-being.
So even if guests aren't planning to cook elaborate meals or spend hours getting ready in the bathroom, those spaces still play a big role in their overall impression of the stay.
Exactly. It's about those subtle details that create a sense of value and luxury.
It's like those little touches you find in a nice hotel.
Yeah, like those neatly packaged toiletries or the fluffy white towels.
They just make you feel pampered, even if you don't consciously think about it.
Pers-
Speaking of fluffy white things, one of the most surprising things we found in our research was the emphasis on white linens.
Yeah, that one threw me off at first, too.
At first I thought, why white? It seems so basic.
Right. But there's actually a really good reason behind it.
Tell me everything.
Well, white linens convey a sense of cleanliness and crispness. They make the space feel fresh and inviting.
Okay, I can see that. It's like a blank slate.
Right. And they're incredibly practical. They're easy to wash, and you can bleach them to get rid of any stains.
That's so important in a business where you have a constant stream of guests coming and going.
Exactly.
So white linens are both aesthetically pleasing and practical.
They're a win-win.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of setting up your space in a way that's both comfortable and appealing to guests.
Right.
What's the next big mistake that hosts should avoid?
Mistake number 2 is failing to minimize communication, but in the right way.
Minimize communication, so like not be responsive to guests.
No, not at all. It's actually about being proactive with your communications so that guests don't need to reach out to you as much.
Oh, I see. It's about anticipating their needs and providing all the information they need up front.
Exactly.
How can hosts do that effectively?
Think about it from the guest's perspective. They're arriving in a new city. They may be tired or jet-lagged.
Right, they don't want to have to figure everything out on their own.
Exactly. So provide them with clear and detailed instructions for everything.
Like how to get to the property from the airport.
Yes, and how to use the appliances, how to adjust the thermostat, where to find extra blankets, all of that.
So the key is to be thorough and anticipate any questions they might have.
Exactly.
That makes so much sense. It's like giving someone really good direction so they don't get lost.
Exactly. One host we talked to for this deep dive shared a great story about how they provide directions from the airport.
Oh, tell me.
Instead of just giving an address, they say something like, tell the taxi driver to look for Joe's Pizza. Once you pass Joe's Pizza, it's the third building on the left, blue door with a yellow flower pot.
I love that. It's so visual and easy to remember.
Exactly. It takes all the guesswork out of it for the guest.
So by providing really clear and detailed instructions up front, you can actually reduce the amount of back and forth communication you have with guests.
And that frees up your time so you can focus on other things.
That's brilliant. Okay, what about pricing?
Ah, yes, pricing. This is where a lot of hosts get tripped up.
Yeah, it can be tricky to figure out what to charge.
It really can. And mistake number 3 is failing to understand your numbers.
Failing to understand your numbers.
Yeah, you need to know exactly how much it costs you to host a guest each night.
Oh, like calculating all your expenses.
Exactly. A lot of new hosts just think about their mortgage or rent payment.
Right, but there's so much more to it than that.
There is. You need to factor in utilities like electricity, water, and gas,
Right.
cleaning fees, the cost of toiletries, and other consumables.
And don't forget about the Airbnb platform fees.
Right. Those can add up too.
So how do you recommend hosts go about calculating their nightly costs?
Make a list of all the expenses associated with each guest's stay.
Okay.
Divide the total cost by the number of nights they're staying, and that'll give you your nightly costs.
So then you know the minimum you need to charge to break even.
Exactly. But you also want to make a profit, right?
Of course.
So then you need to factor in your desired profit margin.
Okay, so it's not just about covering your costs, it's about making sure you're actually making money from your Airbnb.
Right. And that's where competitive research comes in.
Competitive research.
Yeah. You need to see what other hosts in your area are charging for similar properties.
Well, I see. So you can get a sense of what the market will bear.
Exactly. But it's not enough to just look at their nightly rates.
It's not.
No, you need to look at their calendars too. See how often they're actually booked.
Oh, that's a good point. A listing might have a high nightly rate, but if it's only booked a couple of times a month, that doesn't tell you much.
Right. Look for listings that are consistently booked, and that will give you a much more realistic idea of what you can charge.
That's really helpful advice.
And one more thing about pricing.
Okay, what is it?
Avoid per-person pricing.
Avoid per-person pricing. Why?
It makes your listings appear more expensive at first glance, especially for larger groups.
Oh, I see. It can be confusing for guests trying to compare different listings.
Exactly. And it can make your listing less competitive.
So keep the pricing simple and transparent.
Exactly.
All right, we've covered 3 big mistakes to avoid as Airbnb hosts,
We have.
and we've learned some really valuable tips along the way.
We have, and we've got 2 more mistakes to uncover.
2 more.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't wait to hear what they are. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll dive into the next 2 mistakes.
Sounds good. So we're back and ready to dive into those last 2 critical mistakes Airbnb hosts need to avoid.
Mistakes that can really make or break your hosting experience.
Absolutely, and we uncovered some really surprising things in our research about these.
Well, I'm all ears. Get me with those surprising insights.
All right, so mistake number 4 is neglecting essential amenities.
Neglecting amenities. I mean, it seems obvious that you need towels, soap, the basics.
Yeah, those are important for sure, but it's often the subtle oversights that really make a difference.
Subtle oversights. Like what?
Well, think about those tiny annoyances you've encountered as a traveler. Those things that make you go, ugh, really?
Okay, I'm starting to get a sense of what you mean. Like when the Wi-Fi is super slow or there aren't enough outlets.
Exactly. Or imagine you're in the middle of getting ready for a night out and you realize there's barely any toilet paper left.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Especially if it's late at night and you don't want to go out searching for a store.
Exactly. It's those little things that can really sour a guest's mood.
And it makes them feel like the host hasn't really thought about their needs.
Exactly. So being generous with those essential amenities like toilet paper, tissues, extra towels.
Okay, yeah, those are all good things to have on hand.
It's a small investment that can really pay off in terms of guest satisfaction and positive reviews.
Makes sense. It's like you're not just providing a place to stay, you're creating a comfortable and welcoming experience.
Right. It all ties back to that home away from home mindset that we talked about earlier.
So, like, think about what you would want if you were staying in a new place.
Exactly. What are those things that you always take for granted at home?
Like a hairdryer or extra blankets.
Yes. Or a coffee maker, or a few basic spices in the kitchen.
It's like those little things that make you feel settled and comfortable.
Precisely. And it shows your guests that you've gone the extra mile to anticipate their needs.
So don't just focus on the big picture. think about the details that can really make a difference.
Absolutely. And while we're on the topic of creating a comfortable and welcoming experience, we also need to talk about safety.
Oh, yes, safety is so important, especially when you're hosting strangers in your home.
It is. And the obvious things like smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors are non-negotiables.
Of course, those are absolute must-haves.
But our research highlighted the importance of going beyond those basic safety measures.
Okay, like what?
Well, think about having a well-stocked first aid kit.
A first aid kit.
Yeah, you never know when a guest might need a Band-Aid or some antiseptic wipes. Accidents happen.
It's true. Like, what if someone accidentally cuts themselves while cooking or gets a splinter on the deck?
Exactly. Having a first aid kit readily available shows that you care about your guests' well-being.
And it can prevent a minor mishap from turning into a major problem.
Precisely. And another thing to consider is having a small fire extinguisher.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea, too. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely. It's a small precaution that can provide huge peace of mind for both you and your guests.
Okay, I'm definitely making a note to stock up on first aid supplies and a fire extinguisher.
Great. Those are all really practical and actionable tips that can make a big difference in the safety and comfort of your guests.
I agree. I'm already feeling so much more confident about hosting, thanks to this deep dive. What's the fifth and final mistake we need to avoid?
This one might be the most fun, actually. It's all about the visuals.
The visuals, you mean like decorating the space?
That's part of it, but specifically, we're talking about the power of photography.
Photography.
Yeah, ignoring the power of photography and specifically high-resolution images can be a major mistake.
Okay, I have to admit, this is the part that intimidates me the most.
I get it. A lot of hosts feel that way.
Like, do I need to hire a professional photographer? Is my smartphone good enough?
Here's the good news. You don't necessarily need to spend a fortune on professional photos.
Oh, phew. That's a relief.
Your smartphone can absolutely do the trick if you know a few key techniques.
Okay, I'm all ears. Share those insider secrets.
One technique that stood out in our research is called the belly button technique.
The belly button technique. That sounds intriguing.
It is. Basically, you hold your phone horizontally at belly button level and take photos from all four corners of each room.
Belly button level, huh? Why that specific height?
It creates more natural perspective. It avoids those weird, distorted, wide-angle shots that can make rooms look smaller or oddly shaped.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's like when you take a selfie from too high an angle and your head looks huge.
Exactly. The belly button technique helps capture the room in a more realistic and flattering way.
Okay, so that's a great tip. What else should hosts keep in mind when it comes to photography?
Abundance is key. Don't just photograph the bed and the bathroom. Showcase the amenities, the views, even the inside of kitchen drawers.
Wait, really? The inside of drawers?
Yeah. It might seem strange, but it shows potential guests that you've thought of everything.
Okay, I guess it does give a sense of organization and attention to detail.
Exactly. It's all about providing a comprehensive visual tour of your space. And here's a surprising insight that might make you rethink those blurry, low-res photos.
Okay, tell me. I'm ready for another surprise.
High-resolution photos, those around 2 to 3 millibeads in size, can actually boost your search ranking on Airbnb.
Seriously. Image quality affects search ranking.
It does. Airbnb's algorithm takes image resolution into account when ranking listings. So invest in good lighting, take crisp, clear photos, and upload them in the highest resolution possible.
Wow, I had no idea. It's like those high-res photos are acting as little SEO boosts for your listing.
You got it. It's all about those seemingly small details that can add up to a big advantage in the competitive world of Airbnb hosting.
Okay, so ditch those blurry photos and let those high-res images shine. All right, we've covered 4 major mistakes, and I'm feeling so much more prepared to embark on this Airbnb hosting journey. What's that 5th and final mistake we need to be aware of? Okay, so we've talked about 4 major mistakes to avoid as Airbnb hosts. I'm ready for that 5th one. What's the last thing standing between me and Airbnb hosting success?
You know, this one might be the most exciting, actually,
Oh, why is that?
because now we get to shift gears a bit.
Okay, I like where this is going.
We've talked about all the things you should avoid doing.
Right, those common pitfalls.
Exactly. But now let's talk about what you can do to really make your listing shine.
Okay, yeah. I want to make my listing stand out. How do I make it irresistible to potential guests?
It all boils down to this one question. What unique features or amenities can you offer?
Unique features and amenities.
Yeah. Think about what makes your property special, what sets it apart from all the other listings out there.
Okay, I see what you mean. So
Okay.
it's not just about providing the basics, it's about going above and beyond.
Exactly.
Well, my property has a really great view of the city skyline.
Ooh, that's a great starting point. Highlight that view in your listing photos.
Okay, well,
Does your place have a fireplace? A balcony? A hot tub?
no hot tub, sadly, but it does have a really nice patio.
Perfect. Play that up in your description. Talk about how guests can relax on the patio and enjoy their morning coffee or a glass of wine in the evening.
I like it. Make it sound super inviting.
Exactly. What about the location? Is there anything special about the neighborhood?
Let me think.
Is it walking distance to any cool restaurants or bars or shops?
Actually, yeah. There's a really great little coffee shop just around the corner from my place.
Perfect. Mention that in your listing.
I can even leave a little welcome guide with some of my favorite local spots.
Exactly. That's a great idea.
It's all about those little details that make guests feel special and create a memorable experience.
Exactly. And remember, those unique features don't have to be extravagant or expensive.
That's good to know.
It could be something as simple as providing a basket of local snacks or a guidebook to your favorite hiking trails.
So it's really about thinking creatively and leveraging what you already have.
Absolutely.
Wow. This deep dive has been incredible. I feel like I've learned so much.
That's great to hear. Remember, successful Airbnb hosting is a combination of being prepared and being creative.
Right. Avoiding those common pitfalls.
Exactly. But also infusing your listing with personality and making it stand out.
That's what will really attract those bookings and create those five-star reviews.
Absolutely.
Well, I feel like I'm ready to take on the world of Airbnb hosting. Thanks for all the great advice.
Happy hosting.